We are told at the start that sleep paralysis affects 40% of the world's population. Sleep paralysis is a sleeping or waking state in which we are awake, but unable to speak or move. The majority has to face a demonic state. A young girl is shown sleeping, but she suddenly hears the shout of her mother. She goes near her mother's room to check, and her mother hugs her coming out of her room. Her mother forbids her to see inside the room, but she mistakenly sees inside. She gets scared to see because her father's condition was worse. He dies, and seeing her father's condition, the young girl screams. Later, Dr. Kate is shown, who was called by a detective to Helena's home. The detective tells Kate that Helena has murdered her husband. The detective requests Kate to investigate whether or not she should be committed to a mental institution. Kate moves to the crime site and sees Helena's husband. His eyes had turned red, and his body had also changed in an unusual way. Kate takes the pictures of the things there and then moves to Helena's daughter. She was hidden under the bed in the upstairs room because of being terrified. Her grandfather tells Kate that Helena's husband is ended by a man. He was a drug addict who frequently visited my son at our home. Kate claims she needs to speak with Helena's daughter just once. Then she makes Helena's daughter agree to talk with love. Helena's daughter tells Kate, Mara has ended my father, so please don't take my mother anywhere. Then Kate asks Helena about Mara. Helena shouts loudly after hearing Mara's name. She was telling Kate in the police station that her husband was disturbed for many days. He told me that he had an affair with a girl, and he apologized to me for this. I was in sleep paralysis when I awake that night when my husband died and realizes an evil presence in my room. The horror music starts playing. Then I saw the sleep demon Mara. She was sitting on my husband's chest, and she ended my husband. I couldn't do anything because she was swearing to her daughter that she didn't kill her husband. The detective doesn't find her mental condition fine, and he says she should definitely be sent to the mental asylum. Now, Kate signs the papers unwillingly, and Helena was sent to the mental asylum. During it, Kate was feeling someone's presence around her. Later, Helena met her daughter. Then the staff of the mental hospital took Helena. Helena and her daughter were badly disturbed due to it. Helena's daughter says to Kate, "You said nothing will happen to my mother," and Kate was also feeling bad about it. Kate experiences sleep paralysis and finds a weird lady standing near her kitchen counter. Kate becomes normal as the lady went, but she was worried about that lady. Kate joins the drawing she found in Helena's room, which says Takahashi knows everything. Kate moves to the address the next day and finds Takahashi's body weirdly. The condition of the house was also not well. Kate summons the detective because his body was found in the same condition as Helena's husband. The detective believes Helena has ended him, but Kate questions how she could do so. The next day, Kate goes to the mental asylum to talk to Helena and asks about the men, one who died and the other about whom her father-in-law has told. Helena was silent and doesn't talk to Kate. Now, Kate says, "I know it's my fault, but talk to me, I will support you." She says, "I will make everything fine," and Helena tells her husband's story. She says, "We went to a doctor's sleep program as my husband has a sleep problem. There we met them, but then my husband saw Demon Mara in the sleep paralysis. Things start ruining since then, and Helena shows her a mark on her eyes. She says, Mara marks victims, and now I am her next prey. Please take me to my daughter. I want to meet her once, otherwise I will die here alone." Later, Kate goes to the sleep paralysis program of the doctor and attends his class. The doctor asks everyone to share their sleep experience. They tell they see a demonic entity when they were in the sleep paralysis. Meanwhile, a man in black glasses says the demon is still in this room. "I can see her even after getting awake, and she has come here for taking my soul." The man about whom Helena's father-in-law told says yes. The man is talking about Mara. The man forbids him to sleep, otherwise Mara will end you, but the doctor says this is your hallucinations and nothing else, but the man becomes furious about it. He shows the man after removing that man's glasses. The eyes of the man turned red completely, and he will die tonight. The man becomes enraged and claims that the doctor is talking nonsense, and that Mara is real and will end all of us. He leaves after saying this. Kate moves behind him, but he has gone from there. Kate returns home and gets a message from Helena as she reaches home. She was telling Kate that Mara is coming near to me and says please save me. Then the man whose eyes turned red is shown. He gets scared that he ends himself while setting on fire. Kate sleeps at her home while drinking and then again experiences sleep paralysis. Then she sees a figure ghost of a lady and gets scared. Suddenly, she awakes and receives the detective's call. And he tells Kate about the man who has ended himself while setting on fire. They arrest the man who frightened him in his murder case. But the man wasn't telling the detective anything. Then Kate asks him about Mara. He tells Takahashi, firstly seen Mara, and I also didn't believe him when he told me all this. Now, telling you she's been ending people for 1,000 years. And she's also ended Helena's husband. He also shows the same mark in his eyes that was in Helena's eyes. He tells you don't have to sleep when the demon will give you this red mark. Otherwise, she will end us when we will be sleeping. The detective and Kate didn't believe him, but they let him go because there was no evidence. The detective has left Helena, and then Kate goes to the mental asylum to bring Kate. Kate finds Helena dead in the same condition her husband died. As she reaches there, Kate was feeling bad for Helena, and she was feeling guilty that Helena died because of her. After it, she returns home and sits in the bathtub for relaxing. She sleeps during this and experiences sleep paralysis. Meanwhile, she finds Mara in front of her behind the curtain. Kate becomes frightened, but she awakes as she leaves. She finds marks on the floor when she comes into her senses. She understands that wasn't her dream, but it was a reality. Then she finds the red mark on her eye that is shown by Helena to her. Following that, Kate goes to the detective's office secretly and discovers a pen drive containing CCTV footage of Helena's death. Kate finds a black shadow on Helena in that footage pressing her neck. Then Kate goes to that man's house who told her about Mara, and that man's left eye was turned red and he played the loud music in the house. So he will not sleep because of the loud music. He let Kate inside when she shows the mark on her eye. Kate comes inside and sees the whole research on sleep paralysis and Mara. He tells her about Mara's past, and she ends her victims in stages. In the first stage, she paralyzes the victim, and in the second, she leaves a red mark on a few of the victim's eyes. We make physical contact with her in the third stage, and she sits on your chest. After that, you can see her even when you're awake, and she ends you when you sleep. Kate says after hearing it, then how you are still alive. He claims I only sleep for 20 minutes at a time. I've noticed that Mara ends us when we're sound asleep, and he has numerous alarms in his house. He used to turn on the music all the time, but Kate still didn't believe in all this. She thinks his mind is affected because of not taking proper sleep. The man asks Kate we should discover what is our link, and why she wants to end us. Later, Kate goes to the doctor whose classes were attended by Helena and her husband. He shows her Helena's video and her eye mark. But the doctor says nothing is supernatural, and Helena told you about the super demon Mara story. After it, you also get scared, and now Kate was seeing Helena's visions. She says you left me to die and didn't save me. During it, Kate experiences sleep paralysis where Mara sits on her chest and presses her neck. She leaves after a short time and Kate becomes normal as she leaves. The next day, she talks to Helena's daughter, but her grandfather tells her daughter isn't well. She can't sleep and feels she is separated from her mother because of talking to you. There was a call and the man says I am at stage 4 and about to die. And I can see Mara everywhere, please help me and save me. Otherwise, I will end myself. Kate visits him at home, and he is removing his eyelid. But Kate brings him to the clinic and the doctor monitored him so he can sleep properly. He convinces him that if we find any demonic entity, we will awaken him. After it, Kate also satisfies him that nothing will happen to him, and I am with you. The man says I discovered why Mara came behind me. Once I ended an innocent family in a war, and I was guilty after it. Kate makes him sleep while consoling him and sits on the sofa. The doctor and the assistant were monitoring them, but the assistant leaves being irritated at the midnight. The doctor also starts doing something else. Meanwhile, Mara arrives, and Kate, who is also in sleep paralysis, sees Mara in this state. She sits on Doogie's chest and starts pressing his neck, but Kate was in sleep paralysis and can't do anything even if she wants to. As we know, the human can't talk or move in the sleep paralysis, and the doctor couldn't understand what is happening to Doogie. Doogie was ended by Mara, and then she moves to Kate after ending him. Kate's eyes also turned red, but the doctor awakes Kate from sleep paralysis. Kate and the doctor were not believing this. After it, Kate discovers Helena's daughter is admitted to the hospital. Kate goes to see Helena's daughter, but her eyes were also red. She was also in the 4th stage, and Kate requests her grandfather not put her to sleep. Otherwise, she will die, but he thinks this is strange. And Kate goes to Doogie's house to save Helena's daughter at any cost. She went there to find any link related to Mara, then she finds Doogie's box. There was his stuff with which Kate discovers while investigating how he ended an innocent family during the war. And the man we first saw, whose eyes turned red, accidentally ended her mother. That's why he was guilty, and the same is the case with Helena. She felt guilty because her husband died as a result of her actions. Kate was now feeling guilty for Helena's death, and Helena's husband was guilty for his affair. After it, Kate calls the detective and tries to know about Takahashi, and wonders what the man did wrong to bring Mara into our world. The detective claims that the man has been a school chef who cooked rotten fish, and served it to everyone. And 38 children died as a result of it. Kate recognizes this as the tragedy that brought Mara into our lives. But the detective asks Kate if this is true. What is Helena's daughter's guilt? Kate says she is guilty because her mother went to the mental asylum after talking to me, and after it, she died. Kate sees Helena and Mara's vision while moving to the hospital. Kate gets into an accident, but she somehow reaches the hospital. Reaching the hospital, Kate sleeps due to it. She reaches the final stage. Even though she was awake, her eyes turned red, and she saw Mara. She comes to the hospital. Even then she sees Mara coming behind her. Helena's daughter was sleeping when she reaches her. Then she tries to awake her, but Helena's daughter was in sleep paralysis. Mara also reaches her. Kate, on the other hand, hugs Helena's daughter and says, "I am guilty, not her, so take me with you." Suddenly, Mara disappears and Helena's daughter also comes to her senses. Her eyes also become normal. Mara then walks away, saying, "You are also innocent, and I do not hold you responsible for Helena's death." Kate sees a dream when she sleeps while considering herself safe, and sees Helena, who was saying "I died because of you," and Kate suffers from sleep paralysis. Mara approached her again and jumped on her. Here this film ends. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe this channel for more videos like this.